Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country. The only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. On this Monday morning, it's on the air, off the presses. We'll have one of the most recognizable faces here, news personalities in the building. One of the most recognizable, I think, in the entire Central Valley. That's right. You're encouraged to call in 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in a moment. Back here on the program on a Monday morning. Hope you had a great, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there yesterday. It certainly was a fantastic weekend weather-wise, so hope you had a chance to enjoy it with your mom or grandmother or maybe your godmother as well. Glad you're here. It's on the air, off the presses with one of the most popular, one of the most recognizable news anchors here in the Central Valley. Glad he's back in the building here today on Connect with Me. But first of all, time to tell you that you are watching us live on Comcast, channel 187 and 43.6 and now 13.1. Those are all the stations you can watch us live during the 10 and 11 o'clock hour. And then later in the day, if you want to tune in and catch the replay of this program or any others during the course of the day, 2 o'clock, 13.6 YouTube, and then 8 o'clock tonight on 4.6 Biz TV, and then the Twitter account is at John Mallos Me TV. Just before we get started with the program here today, I do want to mention that tomorrow's program, we have one of the owners of Me and Ed's Pizza here tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we have a pair of attorneys, Rosalina Nunez and Chuck McGill, will be here together. That should be really interesting. On Thursday, we have Becky Cinnamol that'll run down all the movies that are out there playing right now. And then Armand Bacon, an author and a columnist for the Fresno Bee, will be here on Friday. So now on with today's program, on the air, off the presses. You know, interesting how a news organization covers news, first of all, and then how do they make their choices about what stories to cover? How and when do they make those choices, and do they make them spur the moment? I want to roll the videotape, first of all, and show you a picture, a drone photo. We've seen this so many times before. It is that of Millerton Lake, a sad, sad view from this point, as you can see. As you know, it's an ongoing drought, 4 years in running now for the drought. Just can't get over this shot of Millerton, though. The lake is about 40% or less in terms of capacity. Everyone, as you know, is mandated by the state of California now to cut back on some of their water by 25% on the water use. But a report this morning that I saw, some of the Hollywood stars down there are some of the biggest water wasters as well. I don't know if you saw that report, but their mansions are as green as the day is long. Also in the news lately, former Fresno Deputy Police Chief Keith Foster arrested by the feds in a drug sting operation. He remains out of jail awaiting his trial. This has thrown the entire department for a loop, including Chief Jerry Dyer, and many people now here in the city, of course, are kind of doubting whether or not they should trust the police department. Is everything on the up and up? And a news that happened across the country nationally in Baltimore recently, of course, the arrest of Freddie Gray and his eventual death a week ago spurred all the violence that took place in the city of Baltimore, including the burning, the looting of the city on the west side. 6 officers, as you know, have been arrested for his murder. Some are being charged with manslaughter. Others are being charged with second-degree murder. Live in our studio right now is Monty Torres. He is the main news anchor for KMPH Fox 26, Monday through Friday. You can watch him live at 10 o'clock with all the rest of the news gang over there at KMPH. He is here. to explain how KMPH covers the news and the latest news events that take place day in and day out, including breaking news. You're encouraged to call in. I'm glad Monty is here. He's filled in for me before here on this program. I'm sure he'll do it again at some point in the near future when I'm gone, but that's right. All right. In the meantime, you can call in and weigh in and be a part of the program. We're back with Monty Torres in just a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. Glad you're here on a Monday morning. It's On the Air, Off the Presses, here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, and I'm so happy to welcome in my friend, Monty Torres. How are you, sir?
Good. Pleasure to be with you again, John.
Oh, it's good to see you. How was your Mother's Day weekend?
Very nice. Always too short, but
Yeah.
very nice. Earlier in the week, just before the weekend, I had a chance to see my mother down in L.A., and then, of course, my wife, who was a mother 6 times over. We had a nice weekend together this weekend. So.
Well, I haven't met your wife, but tell her from all of us here at Connect with Me, tell her happy belated Mother's Day.
I'll be sure to do that.
And do the same to your mom, too.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you're here, and thanks for filling in for me a few weeks ago.
Always
I
a
appreciate
pleasure.
it very much. So, with all the news cycle, I mean, you've been in the game how long now? My gosh.
20-something plus 25 years or so.
25 plus years. So that's like in the 80s. You started in the 80s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I actually started with a weekend news show on KWHY in LA. I don't know if you know that. It was one of the UHF stations there, and I just did a small weekend show. And from there, I went on to a public affairs show at KCOP for 3 seasons, 3 years, and then into the news game full time and traveling around the country. So.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
It got into your bloodstream. You can't get it out.
Right.
Hey, caller, go ahead. You're on the air with Monty.
Hi.
Yes, good morning to both of you. I'd like to tell Monty that I don't watch any other news but KMPH every night at 10 o'clock. I never miss it. And because, I mean, it's very informative. They bring all the, breaking news and everything. It's really... I don't know. It's just one of the best news programs.
Thank you very much. Okay, what was your name?
Mary.
Hi, Mary. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we do try each and every day, as we'll probably be talking about with John right now, about what we do and how we do it to try and bring you the very news you're talking about. But I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Yes, well, keep up the good work. And like I said, I don't miss your news every Monday to Friday. You're the best.
Thank you. We'll see you tonight. Thank you, Mary.
You probably get that reaction a lot.
I'm very fortunate that people will stop and talk. Although oftentimes, a couple things. Sometimes they'll say, "You look familiar, but we're not sure where." And then the thing that's been very interesting to me more recently is people will turn and say, "Oh, I recognize your voice," and that's somewhat novel to me. Where people will say they recognize my voice before they might recognize seeing me. They'll say, "Oh, your voice sounds familiar. I remember hearing this." And so that's kind of neat. But I always enjoy meeting the people out there who are regular watchers of the 10 o'clock news.
So you went from this small station in L.A. What happened next?
Well, I went from there to KCOP, one of the regular stations in town, doing the weekend public affairs show. And then I was fortunate to do that for like about 3 seasons, but I wanted to switch full-time back over to news and stay in news. And so I did. I went over, I took a few more courses over at UCLA's extension program, broadcast journalism.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started in Palm Springs, came here to KMPH.
I remember we worked together.
We did work together.
That? What year was that,
96. It was 96.
Gosh. Wow.
Yeah, quite a while ago. And then I went to Florida, then to Grand Rapids, Michigan, then spent 5 years in Raleigh, North Carolina with NBC before coming back here in 2006.
Did you like living in North Carolina?
It's a beautiful state.
Really?
Yeah, it was very. The only hard part about it was that it was so far from my family in California. But Yeah, we really enjoyed the state.
I've always wondered if that's a good place to retire, but what about the hurricanes that come through there?
Well,
did you live
while
inland?
we were there, we lived in Raleigh, which is a bit inland. It's not right on the coast. And while we were there, we didn't have any hurricanes that came by that really hit the state. I understand a few years before we got there, something like that happened, where they felt that in Raleigh.
Yeah.
It cut inward, away from the coast into the state. So, I mean, that can happen, but during our stay there, we didn't experience anything like that. So.
Yeah. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to ask Monty, in reference to the police and so forth, and even in Fresno, they're talking about outfitting our police officers with video cameras, you know.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, do you believe that will help relieve some of the problems that the police are having in terms of, you know, being overly aggressive and so forth like that? Mm-hmm. And another question is, do you believe that sometimes the news on television itself can help inflame situations such as that in Baltimore?
Okay. First of all, thank you for your questions. With regard to the cameras, I can only imagine, and I don't propose or profess to be an expert on that, but I do think it would be helpful. And I think the police also feel from their end it would be helpful for them too. But I do think it would be helpful if you have that. You know, it's the cameras that have caught things that have brought them out and brought them onto the news, into the public atmosphere when there have been what appear to be abuses. And I understand that cameras have also, there have been stories throughout the years where cameras have exonerated police in a given situation. So there are benefits to both sides. I can only think that it would be a good thing, not a bad thing. I imagine there are probably some situations where maybe what's seen on camera what you see on camera doesn't tell the whole story, but it is an extra element that I think would be illustrative and helpful to avoid misunderstandings and problems. The second part of your question was, what was the second part of the question?
Something to do with if maybe a news story, like take a particular news story,
Can it inflame?
if it inflames the situation.
Clearly, it appears that it does, or it can. But you know, when we show images and report a story, you know, John, that we make every effort to try and be as unbiased as possible and to present the facts of a story. Now, sometimes the facts of that story will be taken by people in certain ways, and it will inflame passions. But it seems that oftentimes those passions were there already, and it maybe it's a spark that sets them off sometimes.
Yeah.
So on the other side, do not inform the public, do not let people know about the news and what's going on to avoid an overreaction. That's we do weigh things. We think about what impact what we're going to report or put out there may have. But in the end, if we err, we usually try and err on the side of informing the public, and hopefully that whatever news we present will be received received and taken in and absorbed and utilized in their lives in one way, in a way that's positive, but and not an overreaction. But I guess that's something that we always run the risk of.
Yeah, but you've been in the game a long time. Mm-hmm. I've been in the game a long time, and I can say, as sure as I'm sitting here living and breathing, I've never seen in my years in broadcasting a reporter that goes in, or a news anchor that goes in, that has this mindset that they purposely want to incite a riot or something like that by the reporting that they do. That just doesn't go through your mind.
I mean, a reporter can be caught up in the passion of the moment in reporting a story
the excitement,
and that will come across in their story because they're conveying what's happening, what they're seeing and experiencing, and we cannot be responsible for how some people, and not necessarily all, but some people may take what may do with the information. But it's being responsible, or trying to be responsible journalists. We do want to try and avoid causing anything like that to the extent that we can.
That's right. Monty Torres of KMPH Fox 26 is here, and I'm glad you're there, and I'm glad your phone calls are coming in. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Great questions so far. Hey, our program today is sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande. He is the owner of 2020 Optometrics. Back with more of Monty in just a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. Francisco Molina Nieve has been on the run since March 2008. The police and the FBI need your help tracking this coward down. He's wanted for brutally beating his girlfriend and for the use of a firearm. He has 3 freckles and a crescent shape under his right eye. Call the Colorado FBI at 303-629-7171 if you know where he's hiding.
And our thanks to Dr. Thomas Casagrande of 2020 Optometrics for his sponsorship here on the program today. Caller, we'll get to you in a moment. I just want to say just a little commentary here. And, you know, in all the years I've been in television broadcasting, it's too many to count right now. But the only thing that has ever gone through my mind as either a sports reporter or a news reporter, and that is I want to beat the pants off the competition, never to go out and incite either a riot or some other kind of some kind of gathering to incite someone's or to bring out the anger in someone. Never my intention, and I've never seen it from any of my colleagues that I've worked with. So, and that's been a lot of years. Caller, go ahead. You're on with the one and only Monty Torres.
Hello. Hey, Monty, don't worry. I watch your program on 10 o'clock news. But I'd like to ask 2 questions. Number 1.
Sure.
Do you ever use tips for your story so you have to follow up? That's number 1. Number 2, Channel 30 and Channel 26, the competition that I see is how do you guys dress the way you guys dress? In other words, you must have a coordinator on the studio because like on Channel 30, man, the anchor women and the guy and the anchors, male, they have different clothing every day. It's like you know. I mean, myself, you, and Channel 30 are the best dressed. Okay,
thank you very much.
That's the top 2. Okay, and I won't say in what order, but you have to have a coordinator. I'm pretty sure on set or whatever to dress. You know, the anchor personnel, and are you allowed? You know. From the standpoint of that's only 2 things I want to ask. Well, okay. I tell you, you guys are the best looking, and that's Channel 32. But man, it's got to take some bucks to have you guys dress the way you do, and you know, I mean that's competition. You know, just the way it is. You know.
Thank you very much. Well, let me start with your second question first, as far as the dress. I can't speak for Channel 30. I know we've been very fortunate. We have a little situation or arrangement with Fresno Suit Outlet, where we get a lot of our outfits, and they're very good with helping coordinate. They've got a nice variety of ties and shirts and suits there, and we get to replace them often. And really, a lot of what you see, in my case, my shirts are pretty much just white or blue, and I don't use, so there's not a variety there. But you switch up the ties a lot, and so that gives a look of a lot of change. And yeah. The suit colors, for men's suit colors don't vary that much. You have black and navy and maybe gray, that with pinstripes and solids. So. And we try to look presentable so as to be able to be a credible source of the information you're looking for. Now, with regard to tips, by the way, we're always looking for those, and we get a lot of our best tips from our viewers out there in the public. So I would encourage anybody at any time, as we always say every night, if you have news you think or something you think we should look into, give us a call or send us an email.
What number do they call if they want to?
One of our newsroom numbers is 559-453-8850, 453-8850.
Okay.
And then we also have our email address, newsroom@kmph.com, or newsdesk@kmph.com.
Where does that email go?
That goes straight to our assignment. Actually, it goes to everybody in the newsroom.
Okay.
So we are able to go forward with the story and take a look into it and see if we have merits to it. Also contact us on Facebook. We have a KMPH page there. Or Twitter, and we very much rely upon and encourage and really appreciate your news tips. If there's something we can help you out by checking into it, if there's something you can help us out by telling us about a video you've taken, a photo you've taken, something unusual, something you think needs to be looked into, we're happy to do it, and we appreciate your calls and tips.
Yeah, appreciate that. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, guys. I love your program, John. I watch it every morning.
Thank you.
I have a question. I grew up in San Diego, and I remember getting the LA station back then. I was just going to ask, when you worked with them, do you have any highlight, like what was your best experience or best time for your short time there that you can share with us?
Which channel? KCOP you're talking about, or?
KCOP, yeah. I used to watch it primarily. I remember they would show really good movies, like this was like over 35 years ago. But was there any great story you covered, something that was really passionate to your heart, or that you enjoyed doing?
Well, when I was with them at that time, I didn't work in the news side. I was doing the Public Affairs Weekend Show. I was a host of the Public Affairs Weekend Show, co-host rather. So I wasn't covering the news at that time. That was way early on in my career. I remember a lot of people I got the chance to interview, a variety of people. I don't know if you remember Ben Stein, for one. He's an actor and an author. He was
Ben Stein.
Yeah, at that time he was. He came out with a book about future financial planning. I think it was one of his first things that he came out with.
Sure.
I had the chance to interview him on that show, and a
Nice
number
guy?
very nice guy, nice guy, very interesting fellow. Even back then, this is before he did a whole lot of the acting that came later. I remember interviewing some of the a Central Valley grower or two out here who brought their grapes and produce down there, and they were talking about just some of the things they were doing. And if I remember correctly, Pandol was the name of the one farmer or grower that I'd spoken to. So that's what I was doing. It wasn't the news at that time when I was with KCOP. Later on, it became full-time news.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much for the call. Monty Torres of KMPH Fox 26 is here. You can watch him every Monday through Friday, of course, at 10 o'clock live on KMPH. And then the Weekend Crew with Rich Rodriguez and Liz Gonzalez. That's right. So we're going to be back with your phone calls, 436-ME-TV option 11. Don't forget, if you need glasses, go out and see Dr. Thomas Casagrande, 2020 Optometrics. He's our sponsor today. We thank him for that.
It's almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent, Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman?
Fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Back here with Monty Torres of KMPH Fox 26. Again, thanks to Dr. Thomas Casagrande of 2020 Optometrics. I do want to roll the videotape again, and we got some drought video. I don't want to show Millerton again or some other drought type stuff. How does, I know how because I've been in the game a long time, but many of our viewers out there wondering on a day-to-day basis, with the drought being such a major story everywhere, even nationally they're covering the drought. Mm-hmm. This morning saw something about the Hollywood stars showing drone clips of all their mansions as green as the day is long and everything else around it is brown. How do you guys go about deciding what drought stories to cover and how to cover it?
Well, we do a lot of drought stories, and we do recognize its impact in the Central Valley, not just to the farmers and growers, but the workers, as well as, in fact, our overall economy and all of us.
Yeah.
So we will go out there and talk about the different angles that we can do on this subject, and you know how you're always looking for different angles to better illustrate the dilemma of the problem going on. The process starts with us going, it actually could start early in the morning. If one of us spots something in the news someplace else or an idea or an angle, we'll send it into the news desk and say, Sheldon Gajarian, who's very capable assignment manager, will start checking on some of that when we send it in or look into that or talk it over with our news director, Jim Turpin, to see if it's an angle we want to pursue. When we go in for our afternoon meeting, we'll go in there and we'll talk together about what we have and additional ideas that we may have in terms of how to go at this story, an angle to take on it, whether it's the fact that some large companies here in the valley are bottling water and selling it all over the country, taking that resource out of here and selling it elsewhere, or another angle, we look for ways that will again illustrate the problem.
Or drilling I think this is video for drilling. They're drilling for water, and they're drilling into the aquifer and tapping into that.
Well, the aquifer is being depleted. As you know that aquifer took, as I understand it, hundreds of thousands, millions of years to fill,
and now we're taking it out.
And we tap it out at a rate far in excess of what it takes to fill it. And the water table goes. You've heard about water table problems, and so many of these drillers are out deepening the wells now because the wells have gone dry. They're not deep enough as the aquifer is depleted. And
so does somebody in a meeting, like say an afternoon meeting, what if a reporter has an idea or you have an idea and say the assignment manager has a different idea? Who gets the last word, and how do you decide? What do you flip a coin?
No, we talk about it. We hash it out. We both give our both sides on this, and we see which takes sway, which argument seems the most compelling. As others, there's we're news consumers too, so we'll talk about what angle of the story might interest us as consumers, and therefore decide what to pursue as reporters. And we discuss that, and ultimately, Jim, our news director, will weigh in and say which angle or which direction they might want to go. But actually, he's pretty reasonable about listening to what everybody has to say and seeing where the consensus of opinion is on what we feel the story is on a given subject.
So he's not the type of news director that comes in and it's going to be his way or no. He wants to hear all sides.
No, he very much invites the newsroom debates that you're very familiar with.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's been a guest here before on this program. I like him as a news director. Never worked for him before, but his background is he comes from where? Not from Fresno.
Yeah, actually, right? Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. Yeah, he worked for a station out there before that. And of course, like many of us, he had traveled on to different stations prior to that. I can't tell you all the different stations before that, but I know the last one where he was for quite a while was in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah. Hey, 436 means TV option 11. Monty Torres is here. What do you? I know you can't offer opinions here. You got to be neutral and down the middle on every story to give a fair balance. You try to be. You know, you do have your opinions, but you're not at liberty to give them on the air. So, but let me ask you about the Keith Foster situation. You can roll a videotape, whichever one you want. Maybe, hey, roll a Dyer video, because I want to ask you, I've seen this videotape, and Jerry Dyer was here as a guest just recently, as a matter of fact. The shock on his face. Look at the shock on his face after his former deputy chief now was arrested. This is the same day. He looked like he was going to faint almost.
That's understandable. He's worked so long with him. You know, Keith Foster has a long history with the police department. Yeah. And, you know, it's sad because this casts a shadow over all the very fine men and women of the Fresno Police Department that is both unfair and would be inaccurate. And again, there's a trial yet to come. But certainly after working with Mr. Foster for so long, you can understand why Chief Dyer would be shocked and crestfallen and is waiting to see what the trial brings out, I'm sure.
As a news organization, you've got to be very sensitive both to the police department and, of course, the citizens of Fresno. And how do you cover whether or not somebody trusts or distrusts the police department? How do you discuss that issue in a meeting and decide, okay, here's how we're going to cover this story today, this Keith Foster story?
Well, in terms of trust or distrust, you know, those are opinions. There's maybe opinions of different people in the public. I mean, we can, you know how we'll do man on the street sometime and talk to people. We don't do a whole lot of that
so at our station anymore. So you go out and get opinions of...
But we will talk to people and find out what they're saying and why and explore what we can in relation to the... We don't do a whole lot of stories just on what do people think of the police department now that Keith Foster. We try and stick with the facts of the situation and the developments and things like that. And
what are the facts in the case?
Correct.
Present the facts.
Correct.
Let the people at home decide.
Yeah, and in terms of opinions, I mean, because there's so much still not known and not out there that generally it's better to suspend judgment until all the facts are in, so as not to rush to judgment or to a wrong judgment of Deputy Chief Foster, of Chief Dyer, or of the police department.
I'll bet this was even a shock to a lot of news reporters who cover City Hall on a regular basis.
It was a shock to everybody. In our newsroom when it came out, it was a shock to everybody. Yeah. Those who have known him well, those who didn't know him well, just positionally because he is a deputy chief. it was a shock, I'm sure, to the entire police department.
Yeah, I was stunned when I heard it, but they had that late afternoon news conference. Anyway, 436 MeTV option 11. Dr. Thomas Casagrande is the sponsor today, 2020 Optometrics, and Monty Torres is here. Plenty of time left here in the program. We're here until 11, and he is here to take your phone calls. Back in just a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno on this Monday morning, on the air, off the presses, and with Monty Torres of KMPH Fox 26. So I know you've told me many times you used to host a program just very similar to this one, Connect with Me, on the East Coast.
I did. It was not a daily like your show is. It was a weekly show for WNCN, the NBC, what was then the NBC O&O in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was called At Issue. It was a public affairs show, political show that's why I have great appreciation for what you do every day to try and find your guests and put your show together, because it's not an easy task to line up and schedule and make sure people are there and to put on the show each day, each week in my case, each day in your case. But it's a lot of fun too, because you learn a lot.
Yeah.
People you meet and talk to. I mean, I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, there's so many things so many people that you meet and things that you learn, new things that you learn each and every day.
Yeah.
And I think, as long as you and I have been in the game of broadcasting, I don't think there's a day that we get up that we don't learn something new.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's the goal, but it's something you can't really avoid doing what we do.
Yeah. Let's roll a videotape on Freddie Gray. I want to ask you about this Freddie Gray case. What in your mind was different about this than any other of the incidents that we've seen? We saw Ferguson last year, then we saw this this young man in I believe Wisconsin, who was shot many times, and then he died, shot by police. What was different about the Freddie Gray case, do you think? Why did this thing spark so much violence in Baltimore? This
is kind of a hard one. It's kind of a hard one. I mean, of course, there was a death involved in custody, so that's immediately going to incite a lot of passion about how did that happen if the police were in control of the situation.
People want answers.
But at the same time, you had so many officers involved. You have 6 that are down there, and you have both white and black officers involved. So it's puzzling.
Hold on, caller. Hang on. Go ahead.
It's puzzling because it has some different facets that the other cases didn't. And as to why it ramped up so quickly and so when it went so far in Baltimore, that puzzles me too, because I remember if you remember the first few days, first weekend of demonstrations were all peaceful demonstrations. However, after a bit of time, I remember hearing some of these interviews where people were saying that there are a number of people here not from the neighborhoods that had come in. So I don't know how much that played into it, outside influence.
Yeah, this was very puzzling to me as well. It really ramped up very quickly, much quicker than they ramped up in Ferguson a year ago. And caller, you're on the air with Monty. Go ahead.
Morning.
Hey, gentlemen, I really appreciate what you do. What you're speaking of, I had a very interesting experience yesterday. And I live in the Tower District. There's a house that's been selling drugs that we've been keeping an eye on. I've told the police. This black girl came out, and I said, "Do you live here? We're watching this." And she said, "No, you're white." don't talk to me. I was shocked. I've never heard that in my life, ever. And I'm 56. You know, I don't understand what's happening here. I mean, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been hearing that and reading about surveys done indicating that I've heard people offer the opinion that race relations have taken a downward turn. Maybe it's exacerbated by the economy. I'm not sure what it is. There does seem to be a lot of tension going on these days.
Yeah. And one of the most emotional stories is the fireman here in the city of Fresno that fell through the garage roof.
Captain Pete Dern.
Pete Dern. I want to show that videotape because we can't see enough of that. In my opinion, a fireman of the year nationally. I mean, he still has.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, we had Carrie Donis, the fire chief, on here just within the last couple of weeks, and she was talking about his recovery and the fact that he faces several more surgeries, and a community totally rallied around this guy, Monty.
Yes, and it's his department as well. I understand he's making excellent progress. My co-anchor Ashley Ritchie, they're good family friends with Pete Dern's family.
With the Derns?
Yes,
really.
They are. And so she gives us regular updates on how he's doing, and here comes the fall through that roof like that. It was just and you see those flames. It's just incredible. It's really incredible that he survived something like that. But we understand that he just recently underwent additional skin grafts. They were able to take some of his skin and culture it and grow back his own skin, and so he continues to improve. I understand a story we did just last week. He was saying that doctors were saying he was due to be out by, I think, October. He was vowing to be out within the next month or two of the hospital. Mm-hmm. So he's got a real positive attitude, loads of support from his department and the community, and we're all rooting for him to continue in his recovery.
Yeah, we're rooting for him here too at Connect with Me, and like I said, we had the fire chief on here talking about how the department has rallied around him, the entire community. This drew national attention on all three national newscasts. They all had it. ABC, NBC,
sure.
and CBS talked about this. The fact of the matter is, it emphasizes and brings out to light even more how important public safety is.
It is, and the dangers firefighters face every day on the job too. But it's tremendous to see because of the training, the equipment, so that something like that is survivable is amazing. And of course, all those other colleagues there, those other firefighters, rushed him and got him out as quickly as possible too after that fall through that roof.
Yeah.
So it's hats off to all of them for being able to get him out as quickly as they did, and that he is on his way to recovery now.
What a small world. So Ashley Ritchie is friends with the family.
Yes, they're good friends with the Dern family.
Now, does she speak to his wife on a regular basis? Or?
I imagine so. I don't ask her how regularly, but I know that she's stayed in touch regularly with the family to find out how he's doing, and she gives us updates. In fact, that's one of the things she'll bring to the newscast is some of the regular updates. We'll talk about how Captain Dern is doing and how his progress is going. So, and it's been really encouraging to hear that he's so determined to get better so quickly, and that he is in fact recovering.
Yeah, I was thinking about this over the weekend. I was thinking about this for part of the day today, this morning. Just looking back on time and history in the city of Fresno, when I think of male news anchors now at this date, 2015. Is it 2015 already?
Yes, I'm afraid
Holy
it is.
Mackerel. Anyway, I think of you. I think of Warren Armstrong. I think of Bud Elliott, who is now retired.
Right, Bud.
I think of John Wallace,
yes,
who is retired.
Yes.
Do you think of yourself in that category?
And don't forget Rich Rodriguez.
Rich Rodriguez.
Been here a long, long time.
Been here a long time.
And don't forget you.
I don't know about me.
Oh, yeah. But
you've been at KMPH 10 years now.
That makes me one of the longer tenured guys over at KMPH. But
I'm just talking male anchors. I'm not talking female.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't put myself in the same category, only because, I don't know, when you think of other colleagues and people you've looked at over the years, I know my respect for all of these whom I've worked with.
Yeah.
As for where they want to put me, that's up to them. But I just go in, I do my job, and I hope it comes across well, and I hope I do a good job, and I'll let the audience put me where they may.
How do you know if you've been accepted by the audience? I've always wondered that.
Well,
you ever think about that?
Yes. Two ways to know, as you know. There's ratings when you get your sweeps reports
Yeah,
back.
but I've often thought, Monty, how accurate are the ratings?
Well,
I don't know.
They're the only game in town in that respect for the for the news industry, and they seem to be accurate enough that advertisers are willing to base what the rates they'll pay on those. So that's something. But I also would base it on the fact that the many people, citizens of the Valley that I run into who are just very friendly, very appreciative, and will tell me that they watch 10 o'clock news like our callers have. So to me, that's a nice indicator that I really appreciate. And
is that the gauge kind of that you use a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's not the metric that the industry uses. It's not a hard metric in that respect. But I know that when I'm out there and I hear people who are encouraging and say they watch the 10 o'clock news regularly and they like it, it's their favorite news or whatever. Yeah, I do take encouragement from that.
Yeah, that's good. Monty Torres is here from KMPH Fox 26, Monday through Friday, and watch the Weekend Crew, of course, with Rich Rodriguez and Liz Gonzalez, and your co-anchor, of course, Ashley Ritchie, Monday through Friday. 2020 Optometrics and Dr. Thomas Casagrande is our sponsor today. We're back with our remaining, 20 minutes with Monty in a moment. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Most-watched news channel in Europe.
Back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno, talking about male anchors. On the female side, you've got Stephanie Berusian.
Yes.
Long time. I mean, she's. I don't want to date her, but when I say long time, I mean, you're talking the '80s. She started.
Wow.
And I think the late '80s, '88 or something like that. I could have that wrong. She's been a guest here before
quite a nice
as well. That's right. And I think of J.D. McClyber.
J.D.
And
great
obviously, I think of Nancy Osborne, Liz
yes.
Harrison, longtime female anchors that have been around for a long time, and Faye Sidlow. Remember Faye Sidlow?
I do remember
Channel
Faye.
24.
Yes, I do. Who teaches now at Fresno State.
Right, right. So
yes.
I'm just wondering off the top of my head, what's the key to longevity, do you think? How do you keep your head on straight?
That's a good question. That's a good question. As far as keeping your head on straight, I don't know that I've entirely succeeded, but I'm still there. So, all I know is you keep putting one foot ahead of the other and doing the best you know and learning along the way and learning from colleagues like yourself, like Rich, like others, and learning and sharing and hopefully continuing to grow. I mean, each day is a new challenge. You go forward, do the best you can to bring the news and the details, the day's news and the facts to our public and present it in a way that they find informative and engaging. And if every day you go out and do your best, and hopefully if you can pick up one or more things along the way each day, you continue to improve. Hopefully you remain relevant and something that people want to watch.
I like Rich Rodriguez. I like him a lot. He also has been a guest here. And when you see him, can you give him a message for me?
Okay.
Tell him that I recently heard that the Giants have won the World Series 3 out of the last 5 years. I don't know what that means for the Dodgers, but he'll get a kick out of that because I know he's a Dodger fan. He plays a lot of golf, too. I know that.
He does. I understand he does like
How's that golf game of his, by the way?
Well,
He doesn't talk about it?
Well, not to me. I mean, clearly he keeps going back, and so I'm sure he's still practicing. But I mean, but he enjoys it. It's a great game. Absolutely.
Everybody who's playing, it's a practice game. It's
absolutely,
absolutely. We're all trying to get better, right? Anyway, tell him I said hello. And another story I want to get to that was in the news recently, and that's that gas explosion out by Herndon in '99. Mm-hmm. This was a breaking story, as was the Keith Foster situation. but this one maybe more so. I know the Keith Foster thing caught everybody off guard, but this was a typical breaking news story. You had an emergency situation. Here it is.
There.
Boom! It happened at like 2:30 in the
I
afternoon.
mean, you don't get much
What
more
do you
breaking
do?
than an explosion out of the blue like that.
So what do you do? You're in the news. You're sitting in the newsroom. You just arrived at work. What happens?
Well, I mean, our whole newsroom is scrambling. We have a couple crews out there, 2 or 3 crews out there at the scene. We have viewers who are contacting us too, saying, "Look, I just shot this." This was a viewer, as you can see, a viewer shot video again, which was vital because we can't be everywhere all the time when news breaks. However, viewers who help us cover this by sending us the videos, the pictures, and letting us know what happened and so on, and we can share it with the rest of the viewers. In my case, I get in and I'm asked to get ready to go on set right away so we can do our cut-ins. As you know, you do cut-ins.
We're breaking into
a regular program and saying, here's what's happening right now, where it's happening. We understand, and then the facts are still flowing in. You get what you get as it comes in.
Yeah.
And we heard originally that it was inmate work crews, which proved to be wrong. And then we were told the numbers, in terms of the numbers of people were injured, and we do also try and preface that with, these haven't been confirmed, but here's what we're hearing. So it's a flow of consciousness and flow of information as to what's going on, what we're finding out, and we do our best to share that with the public and vet it before we put it out there, of course, too. And then they're caught up in the I don't want to say so much excitement, because this is an explosion is not a good thing, but there's an adrenaline pump when you're talking about something happening right now.
I was just going to ask you about that. How's the adrenaline?
Well, I mean, it's going.
It's ramping up.
Yeah, and you want to get the information out that they're shutting down traffic, for example, there, because it could be a danger. And some of the people who contacted us and sent in those videos would talk about being able to feel the heat off of that tremendous fire going on. So you want to get information out that will benefit the public to avoid that area, stay away, so you're not in any danger, so that emergency crews can get in there and do what they need to do, and it's time sensitive too in a situation like this, and that you want to get the news out fast so that you can have those positive, so people can make those decisions and avoid that area, and you can have whatever positive impact on the situation that you can have.
Well, 2 more questions about this, and that is, how do you caution yourself? I know you probably talked to Ashley, your co-anchor, about this. How do you caution yourself, and how does she, in terms of accidentally, not on purpose, nobody does it on purpose, but accidentally getting out erroneous information, or being cautious about what you hear and what you report, is what I actually mean.
Well, we consider the sources, first of all. We don't like to report. We won't report off of, for example, a Twitter comment or something like that. You know that our routine is to try and confirm the information, either with a reporter on scene, seeing and hearing,
or official, maybe.
Or official, authoritative sources, or witnesses to a scene right there for what they can tell us in terms of what they actually saw. So, I mean, we do try to go to first-hand sources on these, or to set our own witnesses in terms of, our professional reporters.
Yeah, I've asked Dennis Hart about this, who's been here on this show many times before, and that is, he said when he was working as a news reporter, even at KMJ, he wouldn't go off of Facebook or Twitter or any kind of social media to get his information, because he often thought it was erroneous.
Right, and now I will say that Twitter and Facebook can be a tip to start the process, saying they've got something here going on, check it out, and we can go check it out from there, and that's very valuable in that respect, to find out if there is something there, or if not. But it's not we wouldn't report it as fact until we can go verify or check it out ourselves.
Yeah. Now, as far as sending crews out to that scene where that explosion took place, you had live crews, I'm assuming. You had reporters. How many did you send out?
We had about at least 3 crews out there.
Yeah.
One was set up shooting it from across the street, across the way. I know Liz Gonzalez was out on the scene as well. I believe Eric Rosales was out there too. Yeah. So we had at least. And then we had just the dedicated photog just rolling on the flames from that gas line shooting up into the air.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't the same situation. That was a situation where appears the line was clipped by a tractor doing work out there. But
I think
visually,
it was a county worker, as a matter of fact. And go ahead.
But visually, it reminded me of nothing so much as the San Bruno explosion, where that gas line was spewing fire.
Thank God that wasn't in a populated area.
No kidding.
Right there.
Very
it was
fortunate.
An open area
Open
right
field,
there.
right.
Open field, next to Herndon, close to 99. But like you said, some of those people taking some of that video, they could feel the heat just driving by.
And I can understand that. When a fire is big enough and intense enough, surprisingly, you can feel that heat from a goodly distance away.
Yeah. Hey, much more to go here with Monty Torres, our friend from KMPH. He's like family here, this guy, all right? Anyway, 436 MeTV option 11. We're back in just a moment.
A top secret location. It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring. That's right. Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart.
Yellow finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want. Save now on Frigidaire's Advanced Affinity Laundry Pair. Let Frigidaire save you energy, water, and time. Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
Back here with our friend Monty Torres, and I do want to say that Eric Rosales, I have to say this, he's one of the best reporters in town. I don't know how that guy does it.
I second that opinion. I agree with you completely. I think he's one of the strongest reporters, if not the strongest reporter in the market.
I think so. The report, the one report that I saw him do was the one, and if you're out there watching Eric, or if you ever see a replay of this program, congratulations. That was a great job on exposing all the credit card abuses by the school districts across the board. Fresno Unified, Central, you had Clovis Unified. I mean, that. How long did it take him to research that?
It took him quite a while.
Like a year, maybe.
And I want to let you know he's got some other ones coming out.
He does?
Yes, he's got. We're in sweeps right now, so in the next week or two, you'll be seeing some other good investigative reports that he's been putting a lot of time into.
Really? Yeah. So how much? So see, this is the point. The point of it is that in newspaper like the Fresno Bee, New York Times, whatever, they have reporters that can take the time to do the research. How is it that KMPH and your news director, Jim Turpin, good guy, he allows him to have that time to do the research?
Because you can't.
Why?
You can't get a quality report like that without putting in the time. And there's some things you just can't shortcut.
But it's unusual in television. In this day and age.
In this day and age especially. You're exactly right. But also, I would say that a reporter like Eric doesn't just he has enough of a passion that he'll probably do some of his own time to look into some of these things because it's important to him. It's important to him to bring that information out to the viewers. So he would put in extra time just to be able to bring a good report out. And I've seen him do that.
You know, you and there's no other way to say this. You know, to do what Eric does, you kind of have to be a pest. You kind of have to have a nose for news. You have to be nosy. You just have to be curious about and just poke around and see what people are doing. And
unafraid to ask the questions.
And unafraid of the backlash after it airs.
True.
I don't know what the backlash was of some of the school districts after Eric's piece.
There was a little friction. Let me just say there was a little friction that was smoothed over and talked about, but
things happen.
But you know what? You also do an organization a favor when you do that too, because they can take a look at anything that may be out of line and say, okay, maybe this does need to be fixed, or maybe we need to be better about communicating what this purpose was for, so there isn't a misunderstanding. In either case, it's a plus to see what needs to be remedied. And I feel very blessed that I get to work with talented reporters like Eric and Liz and Erica and all those folks who are there, Rich. So I mean, if people like the 10 o'clock news and talk about it being their favorite newscast, well, for me it is too, and that's because of some of the people I work with.
So KMPH, over the course of time, years before I started working there, had developed this reputation of being the early newscast, the 10 o'clock newscast, the only news at 10.
Which it still is.
Which it still is. But I guess the question is, it's taken a long decades to gain this reputation. Where does it stand now, KMPH News, as far as the other newscasts in town? Because it's quality, it's great stuff. I try to watch it every night myself before I go to bed, but I go to bed early now. But where does it stand amongst the other greats?
To my understanding, it's a very important source of news for the Central Valley. We have a number of people, like the callers who called earlier, who say that they rely on it nightly, and we're very grateful for that. We try to put something on every night that they absolutely can't miss, that they want to tune in for. And we're glad that we're on early like that. So many of our viewers talk to us and tell us that it's, because it's on early too, it makes it a lot more convenient. We live in a farming community. There are people who rise early and who want to get to bed early, and so we often become their last program of the evening to catch the day's news, and we're happy to be there.
And the thing is, you're going to see many of the same stories that you see on the other stations that you saw maybe at 5 or 6, but you're going to get something different at 10.
Almost every night, you will hear us say, only on KMPH Fox 26 10 o'clock news. We avidly search for those, and we do try to bring to the public news that they'll only find on our station. And we succeed at that. Between our assignment manager and our great reporters there, we're able to do that.
Yeah, and the assignment manager, again, Sheldon Gajarian, the one and only. If you don't know that name, well, there's no use getting into it now. But social media has changed our business in what way, Monty? For the good, for the better, or in some cases?
There are some good aspects of it. There's certainly some time-consuming aspects of it. I mean, it's an extra platform, several extra platforms, actually, that we need to be a part of and engaged in, whether it's responding and posting on Twitter, tweets, to Facebook. It's become a great source for tips for people to contact us, an extra way to contact us and reach out with information about something that, as we say, that they think we should check into, and we do. So we appreciate that aspect of it. It's become a source of information about people who may be in the news that we want to know more about, too, and look up and may see something about. That's been a little bit helpful there, too. So, just an extra arena of activity there.
Yeah, and you've also got Great Day to talk about, too, and tout that program with Kim and Kopi.
What can you say with Kopi? Kopi, as we know, is Mr. Fresno, and Kim. And they've been doing that show now for, gosh, it's got to be about 11 years, 12 years, 15. Is it 15 years? Maybe.
I'm not sure. Maybe not quite that long, but a long.
And that's quite a show.
That's a
five hours in the morning like that.
Yeah.
So it's quite a show.
What makes Kopi, in your opinion? Personality-wise, do you think?
Well, you're talking about a very unique individual there. So personality, a boundless source of energy and curiosity, devotion to his community. I mean, when he's not on air, he's running around with his camera, meeting people during the day. Kids, adults, seniors, everybody, recording him on his camera and sharing them with the rest of us. So, I mean, he's just a unique fellow.
Yeah, he really is. Monty, I appreciate your time. Like I said, your family here. You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
And thanks for hosting. I'm sure you'll probably be doing it again if you so choose.
Be happy to. Thanks, John.
Monty Torres, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Monty Torres, you can watch him Monday through Friday, along with his co-anchor, Ashley Ritchie, and then on Saturday and Sunday, it's Rich Rodriguez and Liz Gonzalez. That's going to do it for us. See you back here tomorrow on Connect with Me. Remember, one of the owners of Me and Ed's Pizza will be here. And then on Wednesday, we'll have those two funny attorneys on, Rosalina Nunez and Chuck McGill. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.